Frieren is a masterpiece. But not for scenes like this. What you just saw already happened. The plotline where a group of heroes go on a journey to defeat the Demon Lord, Frieren and her party already accomplished that. The story begins as they return from their 10-year-long journey. After getting crowned as heroes, your typical party consisting of a hero, a warrior, a priest, and an elf mage reminisce about their journey together as they stand before a spectacle that comes only once every 50 years. While the guys exclaim how beautiful it is, Frieren only complains how hard it is to see the shower from this location, and that in 50 years, she'll take everyone to a spot that gives a much more beautiful view. Soon after, Frieren parts ways with everyone, setting off on another journey to acquire more magic, and as the others watch her depart, they wonder if they'll even ever see her again. In an instant, 50 years pass. Frieren returns to fulfill her promise, and as she reunites with her old party, it's apparent time shows no mercy. Frieren doesn't look a day older, but Himmel, once sparkling in youth, has turned into a decrepit old man. Heider, a once young priest, is now an old bishop, and Heisen, a once mighty young dwarf warrior, is nothing but skin and bones. They set off on a week-long journey to see the meteor shower again, and when they finally arrive, Himmel for the final time reminisces about the journey they shared together. He gazes up towards the sky and watches the meteor shower for the second time in his life, thanking Frieren for bringing a day where they could all reconnect one last time. And shortly after, Himmel passes away. At his funeral, Frieren blankly stares down at his lifeless body. She has no hint of emotion on her face, and it makes sense. Elves are practically immortal. Although 10 years is an extremely long time for humans, for her, 10 years isn't even a mere 1/100th of her life. What Frieren did in the 50 years between the meteor showers, the manga represented on a single page. And to Frieren, that's probably an accurate depiction of how long it felt to her. In her mind, forging relationships is a waste of time. What's the point when everyone dies off quickly anyways? That's why she doesn't feel anything as she stares down at Himmel. At least, theoretically, she shouldn't. But as the crowd surrounding them mumbles of how heartless Frieren is for not even showing a hint of sorrow, deep down, something begins to bubble inside her.
But I don't know a thing about this man. I simply traveled together with him for 10 years. Even though I knew a human's lifespan short, why did I never think about getting to know him more?
This is the first chapter, and let me tell you, the feels, they never stop. There's 100 more chapters like this. Frieren deeply regrets not getting to know Himmel better before he died. She only spent 10 years with him, Heider, and Eisen, a length of time that shouldn't have held any significance to her. But sometimes, all it takes is a single ephemeral moment, experience, or interaction to change your life forever. For Frieren, that 1/100th changed her, more than she could ever imagine. In reality, way too often, we take things for granted, and it isn't until we lose those things where we finally grasp their significance. Frieren is no exception. As an elf, she doesn't really understand these feelings herself, but before her memories can fade away, she sets off on the very same 10-year journey that she, Himmel, and the others took to defeat the Demon Lord, with the belief that somewhere along it, she'll come to understand something about herself. Understanding yourself is hard. The little guy in my head never shuts up, and half the time I ask him a question about myself, he deceives me. Knowingly or unknowingly, everyone lies to themselves. Frieren claims it's a waste of time to make relationships with people, but the truth is, she ends up caring too much about them. She doesn't see it herself, but through her actions, it's clear how kind of a person she is. Everyone around her knows, they constantly tell her. It's because she's so kind that it hurts all the more when they inevitably leave her behind. If you never get close to people in the first place, you never have to experience the pain of losing them. If you choose to be alone from the start, loneliness changes from a byproduct of life to a choice. I don't blame Frieren. The thought of every person you care about passing away as you carry on with your life for eons sounds straight up depressing. That's why her mind deludes her. She's afraid of getting closer to others, to forge meaningful relationships, only to quickly lose them to an enemy only she can beat: time. Afraid of going out and experiencing the world because living a life of solitude and simplicity is easier, even if it isn't what she truly wants. But those 10 years she spent with Himmel and the others changed her perception of life. She might not realize it now, but those 10 years made her understand how important it is to share your life with others. to go out and experience the world, to do the things you want to do. Even through all the pain it might end up bringing, the joy and fulfillment you gain far outweighs it. Ever since Himmel's passing, Frieren has been trying her best to get to know humans better, and one of the ways she's done this is by taking in a human disciple named Fern. In one of the chapters, Frieren and Fern have already known each other for several years, and Fern ends up catching a fever. While taking care of her, like every other time in the past, Frieren takes hold of her hand. However, instead of calming Fern down like it usually does, Fern gets embarrassed and tells Frieren to stop, to not treat her like a child. A pretty typical teenage response, especially since they were in front of another teenager they've been adventuring with, a warrior named Stark. Eventually, Frieren and Stark leave Fern to gather medicine, and Frieren, a smile on her face and a hand gestured towards the ground, tells Stark,
It felt like yesterday that she was a girl like this. I was far taller than her, too. Time flew by in the blink of an eye. In my heart, Fern is still a child to me.
A simple line, but it's one that had me staring at the panel for minutes. At the time I read this chapter, my parents had very recently said practically the same thing to me. Yet the cherry on top was what Frieren decided to do after she and Stark talked. After returning to Fern, she once again holds her hand, which only causes Fern to repeat,
I am no longer a child.
However, this time Frieren doesn't let go and says,
I know. I know.
with this look on her face. And maybe it only appears this way to me, but it's a look accompanied by a myriad of emotion. Pride, happiness, sympathy, and a hint of sadness that time is moving too quickly. The same exact look my parents had on their face. That's the thing about Frieren. One second, Stark will be talking about how the clouds in the sky look like breasts, and the next thing you know, Frieren does something inspired by one of her old comrades for him, and that moment lives rent-free in your head for weeks. It's through these flashbacks of everyone's past experiences where Frieren truly shines. It's where the humility of the entire cast is brought to light. It's where it's shown how relationships influence who you are today. It's the main reason why, to me, Frieren is a masterpiece. There's a reason why Himmel is the GOAT, absolutely gapping literally everyone else in the popularity polls despite being dead since the first chapter, although personally my vote goes to the Mimic. There's never any big plot twist or a clear endgame in sight. In a single page, months to years pass by. Sometimes snippets of their adventure are shown through a single small panel. But that's okay. For me, Frieren has always been a manga about people and their influence on others. In normal fantasies, I want to see how the characters cleared a dungeon, how they stole eggs from a giant chicken, or how they took down some monster. But in Frieren, all I want to see are the little things, the serene moments that don't seem like much, yet hold so much significance. The beautiful sunset you watch, the meaningless back and forth banter, the deplorable acquisition of an object that doesn't do anything but offer a laugh between friends. The type of moments you don't really appreciate until they're gone forever. Frieren reminds you to take a step back and relax, to realize that life isn't all about reaching some end goal. You aren't going to arrive there and magically become happy or fulfilled. If you don't take some detours in your journey of life, you may never truly find out who you are. The detours are never a waste of time. Even when people come and go from your life, the memories and experiences you shared with them don't disappear. They stay with you forever. They shape who you are. I'm fortunate to not have experienced it yet, but it's something every person has to face. One of these days, I'm going to lose someone I love. Someone whose presence meant the world to me. Someone irreplaceable, a person I can't fathom being absent from my life. And then, the heart-wrenching reality will hit me. I'll never see them again. I know when that fateful day arrives, my tears will flow uncontrollably, my face stricken with snot and sorrow. But I don't want any semblance of my anguish to be fueled by regret. I want my tears to be a symbol of my gratitude, thankful that I was fortunate enough to have shared a part of my life with them. Remembering will be painful, excruciatingly so, for the chance to make new memories with them has slipped away forever. Yet, no matter how agonizing and painful it is to remember, I will. Because those memories, those fragments of time brimming with bliss, serve as proof that they lived. Throughout the rest of my life, I'm certain that I'll constantly be reminded of them. However, instead of turning away, I'll embrace our memories with a smile on my face. Because the time I spent with them was nothing but idyllic, and that's why it's alright to remember.
I know it. There's a precious glimmer inside.
truly